An American Tail. While The Secret of NIMH may be Don Bluth's first animated feature, it was An American Tail that got him the mainstream attention about his work thanks to his collaboration with Steven Spielberg. Not only that, but when the movie was released, it turned Bluth into Disney's first legitimate competition in the field of animated features, like the kind that can literally give them a run for their money. In fact, in 1986, both An American Tail and The Great Mouse Detective were released, and it was Fievel that walked away with more money at the box office, not to mention even getting a lot more recognition for award shows, including the Oscars and the Golden Globes for the song Somewhere Out There. Sure, that was a big signal for Disney to get serious with animation and fully unleash the Disney Renaissance a few years later to reclaim their throne, but for that one moment, Don Bluth actually beat Disney at their own game. So now that Fievel is taking his first trip to America, will the experience feel like the American dream, or will it have the same charm and appeal as the cats in the movie? Let's find out. The story. This is one of those films that define how the journey is what drives the movie. In hindsight, the story centers around achieving a simple goal. Fievel got separated from his family when they all made it to America, and now he has to find a way to reunite with them. What the movie does to make that mission engaging at a feature length is to make it as emotional as possible. Throughout the film, it always presents the point of view of Fievel at every turn, even when he would make the wrong ones. This would also explain the tone where it's geared more towards kids than any other Don Bluth film of the 1980s. On one hand, I do understand if there would be criticisms how it would make the film feel too whimsical and lighthearted, like it's overcompensating for the dark and sad moments. But there are no cats in America. No, that's not what I meant. What does make it work is that it is told in the perspective of a child, which helps audiences relate to how Fievel is feeling throughout his adventures. In a way, that's probably the movie's biggest strength. It knows how to play with emotions, not just with Fievel and how he would currently feel about the chances of meeting his family, but also how he can frequently be so close to reuniting with them. Funny enough, this is why this movie can be quite frustrating, but in a good way. Like you'll see Fievel run around and then he would, and then after,
oh, Papa, she's in the way again.
And it's actually effective because it helps tease the viewer to want them more than ever to see Fievel get back with his loved ones. When looking at the story itself, it would seem predictable regarding how this would end, especially with the childlike tone that would constantly reassure that everything would be okay. But that idea can often be forgotten because of how it's focused so much on how Fievel is feeling, which translates to how the audience is feeling when watching. Also, the movie sprinkles in a subtle commentary regarding immigration from the immigrant's perspective, how it can sound like a dream, but actually has its own set of hardships. Some could say it's a little cutesy, but the story sure knows how to play with people's hearts. The animation. What's interesting to note regarding the animation is that it tries to emulate the style of classic cartoons like Disney's The Country Cousin or the Warner Brothers collection of Sniffles, where the star is a cute mouse living in a big human world. In that regard, it actually works, not just in what it wants to achieve, but also as its own feature. Like many animated films of its type where animals live in their own anthropomorphic culture in our world, the human elements are depicted more realistically with some use of rotoscoping, while the animals present themselves more as cartoon characters and actually being mice and cats. In fact, considering the movie's childlike tone, this would count as Don Bluth's more cartoony film than the others of its time, especially when it would be extremely rare when the film delivers a human perspective of the events. But there are no cats in America. Would you get out of here? But even with that direction, it presents many of the professional qualities of a blue film, including smooth and sometimes fun movements in the character animation. The designs bring a large variety of different looking characters, especially with the hundreds of mice, and the backgrounds feature a nice painterly-like grand depiction of New York during the late 19th century. But going back into the emotional aspects, what the animation emphasizes is towards the characters' reactions and facial expressions. That is where it is capable of delivering the strong emotions to show what Fievel's mood is in his current predicament.
Are you there?
There are a few minor issues that would come with the animation, but admittedly, they are just nitpicks that don't affect the overall quality. Like how the rotoscoping can be hit and miss. Some can look smooth and bring a new layer to the film, like some of the elements from the end, while others look like they're out of place, like there's too much defined detail compared to the animated characters and the painted backgrounds. But despite the small things, seeing the animation is like an immigrant seeing the new world for the first time. The characters. While the movie does mainly focus on the main little mouse, it does present an entire cast of characters that honestly don't get a lot of time to present themselves. With that said, let's begin with Fievel. On the surface, he's just a little kid, highly naive and always trusts the first person he would encounter. However, it's his innocent charm that helps add into the difficulty of his situation. Many of the reasons why he's not with his family yet is because of his own doing, and can easily be impressionable thinking that he'll ever meet them again or not. As for the family in question, while the parents are convinced that he's dead and try to adapt into their new environment, Fievel's sister, Tanya, is the only one that still believes that he could be around and doesn't want to give up hope in reuniting with him.
So what? So someone is calling a Philly Mavskowitz.
They changed my name to Tilly. Maybe they changed Fievel's name to Philly.
As for the other people Fievel would encounter, they show a bit of who they are, but their purpose can often be questionable. Some like Henri and Tiger can help him get from one place to another while singing a song with him, while others like Tony or Bridget would have potential to be a sidekick, but they end up being a brick wall and get sidetracked with the side plot of getting rid of the cats. Now, I'm not saying that some of them are bad. In fact, they can have likable personalities, but they have very little screen time to where they couldn't have a prominent role. So they would feel less like characters and more like tools to advance Fievel a bit to reach his goal. But not—
There are no cats in America.
Would you please just stop? But not all the characters want to help Fievel, especially with Warren T. Rat, who mainly wants to exploit the kid in order to make his own profit. Again, he doesn't appear a whole lot in the film other than to really serve the cat control side plot. Although they can be likable and have potential, they're mostly meant to just help Fievel. The songs. While this may come out short in terms of musical numbers, the film does feature some significant songs to help shape the film's lighthearted tone. In a way, this is where it can deliver a Disney-esque feeling, where the whimsical style and the upbeat nature can share some similarities to something that was crafted by the Sherman Brothers. There's Never Say Never, that's meant to bring the movie's optimistic message of not giving up.
Never say never, whatever you do. Never say never, my friend. Oh, tais-toi.
And there's a couple of others that are meant to be more comedic and play around with the characters, like a duo with Tiger, and there is another, but... Now you can do it.
But there are no cats in America, and the streets are paved with cheese.
We're a duo, a pair of lonely ones who were meant to be a two.
However, there is a bit of a catch with what they're trying to do. While they are fun to listen to in that Disney style, that's how they end up feeling. They're just Disney clones. They don't really have their own magic when they're trying to be something that they're not. It doesn't help either when the movie itself doesn't fully commit to being a musical, because if it did, we might have gotten a song from Warren T. Rat, Tony and Bridget, or even Honest John. But then there is one that stands out from the rest. The one that ended up becoming the movie's most memorable moment.
Somewhere out there beneath the pale moonlight.
What makes this one stand out from the rest is the softness and the love that it has. The way it can have numerous of interpretations to its meaning is how it resonates with many people, and how this simple song can pack a lot of heart. While it may not have a lot in quantity, and just one is more memorable than the rest, the movie does have a nice little collection of songs. Yeah, some can say that it's a cheesy film, no pun intended, but it sure knows how to play with your heartstrings to suck you in. An American Tail is one of the most heartfelt animated features that gives audiences a touching yet melancholy journey. It offers an engaging story of a little lost mouse, beautiful animation, and some charming songs. I'm pretty certain that this is the kind of film that kids will easily fall in love with and possibly cry. But I would also recommend this to those who want something that is more touching, like something with a lot of heart and will have the viewer go through many emotions. Sure, it can make some mistakes along the way due to its naivete, but you can't help but love the little guy and just want to see it happy so you can be happy. Hey guys, this is AniMat's. I just want to start things off by giving a huge thanks to Thomas Richardson for his amazing support on Patreon, which allowed him to get so many great rewards, including this one, where he would ask to go and make me review An American Tail. And interesting fact about Thomas, by the way, he is also the same guy who actually requested me to go and review the sequel, Fievel Goes West, so I guess we've all come full circle with this. But what is interesting to note about my review with An American Tail and the stuff that I've said about it is that I know that there would be one person in particular who might actually disagree with some of the stuff that I've said about the movie. And believe it or not, it is actually Roger Ebert. It's not really just the fact that he didn't really like the film, but what he would disagree with me the most is when I would say that it's a rather light-hearted film, that it's very kid-friendly and all that kind of stuff. Now, the reason why I say that is because he would mention in his own review that the problem with An American Tail is that it's actually too dark, it's actually too depressing. If you don't believe me, then check out this clip from At the Movies.
This is the most downbeat children's movie since Return to Oz, which began, you may remember, with Dorothy being strapped down for electroshock therapy. What a wonderful, entertaining way for kids to go to the movies.
They start out this story, and it is a Jewish story, and then they chicken out and leave it all alone.
What is your average kid going to think when the movie begins with soldiers burning down houses and not one word of explanation? It's very strange. They're talking about the pogroms, but they don't say what they're talking about.
And what we get is other mice, other ethnic groups coming into America, and you get, actually, some pretty bad stereotypes.
Now, of course, they would go and actually praise about some of the aspects of An American Tail, like they said that they really do love the animation. But the major issues with An American Tail that they have is that it is too dark and depressing, like I said. They don't take advantage of the historical aspects that happen at the beginning of the feature, and also there's a lot of stereotypes in the film. Yeah, believe it or not. But it is actually very interesting to hear these different opinions going left and right about An American Tail, and that some would think is that it's really lighthearted, some would think that it's a little too dark for kids, and all that kind of stuff. And it does bring up an interesting question that you might think about. Which side do you feel regarding An American Tail? Now, you can like it, you can hate it, it doesn't matter, it's all fine. But what I'm asking is, do you think you would be more on my side thinking that it's a more cheery and pepped up, lighthearted film? Or would you be more with Roger Ebert where it's more dark, it's more depressing, like that kind of gloomy, melancholy film? Or would you say that you're kind of more in the middle where it is a little bit of a mix? Now, I definitely would understand, like technically, I would fit a little bit more into the mixed kind of aspect. Now, I'm not saying that I fully disagree with everything Roger Ebert said about it, or Gene Siskel as well. They do bring up some very interesting points as well, and yeah, you can definitely see a lot of the dark moments in An American Tail. But overall, this is just to say, after this one, I highly recommend that you guys, you should go and check out At the Movies, An American Tail, and see Siskel and Ebert's review of it. I think it is still available on YouTube. You can go see it there. But I will warn you, though, that the quality of that video, it does get a little bit weird and it does get a little bit warped, but at least you do hear them fine. So that's pretty good right there. But yeah, so that's an interesting perspective to see about An American Tail, seeing that maybe it's lighthearted, maybe it's not. Which side of the fence would you be? Let me know. Alright, but anyways, now that we are fully done with An American Tail, it is now time that we go and move on to the animation hat. And before I continue, I just want to mention that if you guys would like to be like Thomas and you want to go and support my work and get some awesome rewards at the same time, including but not limited to watching my videos before anybody else, then all you have to do is go to patreon.com/animat. But also, if you guys would like to suggest an animated film you would like me to review and I would put onto the animation hat, then write me an email at animatsreviews@gmail.com. Alright, so with all that said, let's go ahead and, oh, I'm getting close. I got a little bit close to, oh, there we go. Okay, did I drop one? Yeah, okay, I dropped one. Okay, so, there, an easy little cleanup. So, the next review shall be... Oh, man. That's gonna be, oh, okay. Yeah, this is one that I definitely have to watch here. Alright. Because I know a lot of people, and especially a lot of my friends, they absolutely love this film. So, what's going to be interesting with this one is that, yeah, this is one that I should definitely watch myself to really understand the stuff that's going on and to see the cultural aspect that this movie has onto people. But the big thing about it is that this really is the first Studio Ghibli film, I believe, that is actually not directed by the big one. So, this ain't a Miyazaki film, this ain't a Takahata film, but this is still a Ghibli film.
Opportunity knocks, but once. But once.